All right, we're recording now. I just had to scarf down the rest of my Subway cookies. um,
No
there's
reason.
there's a Subway right outside my office, so
Yeah,
I pretty much know how to party.
there you go.
Graydon said we can't have nice things. You're absolutely right. It was just crazy because with how backlogged Google was with Map Maker, like I'm just convinced they wouldn't have touched it. They were gonna let that party just go on for quite some time, and just the whole thing with having the Apple image in there just ruined it. I mean, that's big. That's a big deal. Apple got pretty pissed about that.
Well,
Um,
Google was probably super embarrassed and was forced to do something at that point.
yeah, absolutely. Because everyone, Apple Maps is like a big joke, but they don't have giant apples pissing on robots, so
No,
they have a
they
little bit
also
more
don't have
control.
directions that actually lead anywhere. If you've ever used their phones, I've ended up in the wrong place many times with Apple Maps.
I
Terrible.
actually don't. Doesn't doesn't TomTom use them and stuff?
Yeah,
I
maybe.
thought like a bunch of GPS things, which great way to get excuse me, great places to get your listings, guys. I know we don't talk about that enough. I might have mentioned that in the Yext video, but
GPS, yeah.
yeah, things like the TomTom site, Apple Maps, because a lot of them, a bunch of those GPS. I know as much as Apple Maps sucks, a bunch of those GPS places do use Apple Maps. Apple went and made deals with all of them, so
Hmm.
they'll aggregate the listing off of Apple Maps, and then you'll be in the GPS. Just lots of cool stuff to look natural for the big Google monster. All right, we have some more people in now. So, what's up, guys? Everyone having a great Friday? Let's get involved. Let's get engaged. Let's press one if we're having a great Friday. I'm kidding. I'm not the press one type of guy. Thanks, Justin, for the thanks anyway. I mean, that was nice. I guess you entertained me a little bit with that. But hopefully everyone's having a good Friday, productive week. Everyone taking and putting some of these videos into action. I know it's a lot of content, guys, but it's all about taking that action.
Actually, we surpassed a lot of content in week one. Now we're at a ridiculous level to where ClickFunnels is ready to just, I think, smack us or shut down. Can't handle any more content.
Yeah, and we are.
It's
It's
gotten it's gotten slow.
We've been talking about, moving to a different platform and stuff, but that would probably be something post week 8. Once we have the content in, we can start to circle back and make it more consumable because I imagine with the amount of content we have, a lot of you guys probably didn't get very far through it just because I mean it's a lot. So, we'll try to make it better, a little more consumable. It's something we talked about. It's just right now we want to focus on getting the rest of the content done and out for you guys. Justin said, "Show me the Lambo." Yeah, that's that's definitely what we should do. Just make it a true hype fest.
I think we should start showing up in Ferraris and whatever else.
Yeah,
Right, just
absolutely.
at the beginning of, we don't have any videos on these coaching calls at all. We don't even have slides half the time, but I think we need one of those cool intro sequences with us speeding somewhere and um, pushing Matt out of the car and seeing if things go well or not.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, yeah, anyone have any questions? I know all you guys just didn't show up to hear our soothing voices. You guys have
Yeah.
to have some questions, whether it's SEO, sales, client acquisition, maps, video stuff, anything. Hit us. We are ready. And there we go. Jeff says, "What do you know about SynWire RSS, and does RSS still have power versus IFTTT?" Um, Okay, I'll answer that one first. He has a second part then as well about Web 2.0s. I actually don't use SynWire personally. I grabbed it when it first dropped, and I had someone make accounts, and they use it, but it's not something I mess with often. Um, RSS is still having power versus IFTTT. I'm not a big IFTTT user either, to be honest. But basically, the RSS is just powerful for a couple different reasons. One, it's nice to, you can definitely kind of emulate an active site. You can make your site look like it has a bunch of fresh content. But another thing that's pretty cool is, excuse me, once you have your feed going to a bunch of different feed aggregators, it actually offers a link back to your feed. And a lot of people disregard that, because it's like, well, I don't want to rank my RSS feed. You're absolutely right. You wouldn't want to do that. But every time you produce content, it goes through the RSS feed, and then any links you have within that article, the juice from the RSS feed is going to pass through those links around your site too. So as long as you have a solid site interlinking strategy, you're going to pass all the authority from that RSS feed around your site. So that's the main thing. Those are the main two things I've used RSS feeds for. It was one, just to syndicate content, populate blogs with content without me having to do any content, and then once, whether you want to make super feeds like they do over at um at one place, I don't remember. There's people that made like super feeds. They were using Yahoo pipes and stuff. If you want to do that, it's all about getting your feed in a bunch of authoritative aggregators. You can definitely generate traffic with it. There's no doubt. I know traffic from RSS feeds kind of a pain in the ass to quantify unless you're pretty savvy with analytics. But you can get traffic from it, but you can build the authority to the your feed as well, which then when you make posts pushes around the site via the interlinking and the posts. Hope that helps. I'm not big on SendWire or IFTTT though. I just like I said, I grabbed SendWire when it first dropped. I had someone else kind of manage everything, and I don't know. I keep hearing mixed things, both from the guy I have running it and other people, but it's just not something I'm hands-on with a lot in my business right now. You're hearing that Web 2.0s are under scope by Google. Yeah, absolutely. That's why, that's why I really stress if you build Web 2.0 networks to make them look real, populate them with a ton of content, interlink them, build links to them responsibly. It's any type of saturated link that a lot of SEOs use are going to be scrutinized by Google. That's why I really encourage people to think outside the box, start moving towards, get a couple nice guest posts or something like that for your client, build some PBEnds to that. That's killing it right now. We're using that strategy a lot. Juicing up your citations, not spamming them, but just, building a nice second layer for your citations can work okay. It's just stuff like that it's a lot, especially in local markets. You don't need to, go outrageous with the link building anyway. You can concentrate on building, 5 or 10 really good links and then building PBNs to those links, and, you're going to rank a lot of local sites that way. And that's something to consider.
You guys can pretty much assume that it follows normal link building and link building practices, and the things that SEOs try to do follow normal consumer practices in terms of at the point at which you start getting a shitload of emails about everybody saying do this, do this, do this. Google's probably at the point of being on their heels of shutting that down because they've seen it too much. So you start seeing all these products saying, oh, you got to build a PBN, you got to build a PBN. There was a huge craze last year of buying PBNs, and then guess what happens? About 2-3 months later, they just went under major attack on PBNs, spotting fake PBNs. So anytime you see just massive amounts of promotion or SEO quote unquote gurus talking about one strategy or the other, it's probably at the point where it's already saturated and Google's probably going to attack it unless you approach it in a thoroughly different way, like Mark talks about.
Yeah, completely agree. It's just so for instance, there's a lot of natural sites on 2.0s. Tumblr's huge, WordPress is huge, Blogger is huge. It's people actually legitimately use those for real sites, and a lot of people do. LiveJournal. I mean, those sites are massive. I know we probably don't appreciate that because we use them just to get links from, but there's a lot of actually really authoritative and great websites that people started on that. Good SEO sites too, where people just that's where they start their blog. And so for Google to just completely say, hey, all of the content coming from these platforms is spam, there's no way. There's no way they're going to do that. That would just, it's easy for us to put a tinfoil hat on and say, hey, we have to be careful because Google is going to hit this, this, and this. But at the end of the day, they're going to be really, they're getting more and more conscientious about their decisions because they don't want to affect the results. They need good results served. And it's just the content from these sites are, it's a lot of good content. So I don't think we need to worry about that. But again, if you're building one page, thin web 2.0s with spun content and one outbound link, I mean, that looks terrible. I don't think it's even going to get you penalized. Google probably doesn't even acknowledge that to pass juice. I wouldn't think so. And, a moderator from that site will probably go and delete that link someday anyway. So, hopefully that helped, Jeff. Brian asked 301 trick. How do you do the 301 from the domain to the money site? Do you do it from the cPanel or the registrar? You can do it either way. I've always been more the guy. I like to do it at the host level. So that'd be from the cPanel. I like to actually have the site hosted and live. And there's some reasons I don't even want to get into. It's just theoretical reasons for me personally. I like to do that. I know the 301 from the registrar is easier, and a lot of people use it with success. But yeah, I don't know. I do it from the cPanel. I'm not sure if it would even make that big a difference. I could just be a weirdo. I'm just being honest. I don't have any solid proof to back why I do what I do in that case. I just always felt a little more comfortable. It seemed more natural if the site's hosted and then gets 301 rather than it just was registered in 301. I mean, if that makes sense. It just seems natural the site would have been live and hosted in a real site at some point before it was ever, 301, rather than it's just got registered at a registrar and then 301. Does that make sense? That doesn't look natural, does it? I don't know. That's my logic behind it. It doesn't seem natural to me. So, but there's a lot of people at 301 from the registrar and it works great. So, label me paranoid. I mean, I don't have, you know what I mean? That's just my personal logic, but I don't really have a ton of data to back that up. Hopefully that helped. Sorry, that's kind of vague. You can do either way. I guess that's the short answer there. Justin asks, I have a few questions about partnering with an industry influencer in the 60-40 profit split. How do you manage this financial relationship? Is there any way to automate the payment process, or is this manual bookkeeping accounting? I don't know how Brian does it, but I do everything. Usually my partner's the one that face-to-face with the client, or belly-to-belly as they might call it, or the one dealing with them. So it's easier for me just to bill them recurring. We just keep all their clients in a sheet, everything ongoing, and we bill them one bulk term once a month. Just makes things easier for us.
So you're saying you're dealing directly with the referral source and just billing them directly, white labeling it?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a big fan of the white label. It just saves a ton of time.
That's true. We've traditionally done it differently, where we have direct relationships with the end client. So we're using the referral source as a referral source, where they trust us and they start sending over clients, but we're the ones that are dealing directly with them, with the exception of the initial contact, where they might present our proposal and our pricing directly to them, meaning the referral source goes to the client, presents that, because it puts us in a good position at that point where it's like the referral source is recommending us, and then we just kind of swoop in and answer any questions, get the campaign set up from there. So we traditionally haven't been the white label service. As far as keeping track of it, I've got a bookkeeper who keeps track of what's due, and it keeps track of if I've gotten paid or somebody missed a payment, because obviously the referral sources income, in my case we do a 10% recurring each month, is going to be dependent on if my client pays me. There are times when even automated payments you check just don't go through. And so we may slow roll the percentage of that, or not the percentage, but the total amount that they're going to get that month, and just let them know this client hasn't paid yet. As soon as they do, we'll get you paid.
Nice. Yeah, so that's two that's two opposite routes you can take. Both will work really great. Do you place a time limit on the partnership profit sharing? Will it expire in 1 year, or is this agreement in place for the life of the client relationship? Like I said, I run mine through a white label, so it would always be a profit share. I think most people would prefer a profit share. It makes more sense for them to be able to build that residual wealth with you, if that makes sense. I mean, if you keep it going forever, over a couple years, they hand you, like my consultant did, he handed us, well, we white label for him, not almost 90 dentists now, and just the amount of wealth he builds from that's just huge, so that's a big selling point for him, is the residual wealth, indefinitely.
That's the way to position it in my mind. It's an ongoing thing. Pay them. I usually pay people a little bit more in month one as an incentive, and then they know as long as their client remains our client, they're going to keep getting paid 10%, nonstop until that client goes away. So they can build a lot of residual income coming in from doing nothing other than recommending. So that's an approach that we've used actively in the past to go out and recruit lots and lots of clients at once. And I don't care if I'm losing 10% every month. They're handing me a lot of clients.
Right, absolutely. Justin says, since we are splitting net profits and not gross sales, do you have to provide proof of profits for each client? If you spend 100% of your clients' first couple months' fees on building their campaign, do you feel the need to prove that you didn't have any profits for the first couple months? That's gonna rely a lot on the trust you build with the person referring the clients to you, or white labeling, whatever. That's going to have a lot to do with that, and it's going to have a lot to do with oh, sorry. Here's one quick one for you from Justin. Brian, is your 10% deal 10% of profit or 10% of the gross fee?
Gross. I don't even deal with profit on that kind of stuff. I can just build it into my overall gross fee, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't worry about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the thing is, the amount of trust you build, I mean, if you just do 10% gross, if you're doing a profit split, then, a lot of that's going to have to be just communication on your part and the trust you build with the person. I know I probably shared this, 100% of the first month goes into building a client for us. And depending on the competitiveness, sometimes 100% of the second month might as well. So that's just communication. Like, you need to communicate that. And if you're doing just points on the gross, then just give them their 10% of the gross and dump the rest in. I mean, it's not going to make a massive difference.
No, it doesn't. I find it doesn't make a big difference, and it's just much cleaner and easier to deal with than what was my profit this month versus this month. It's just that becomes too hard to administer. I'd rather just know that they've sent me X amount of business worth this much money. They're getting 10% of that per month, as long as that client remains my client.
Yeah. Graydon says, be careful of GoDaddy redirect. It's screwed up. GoDaddy's screwed up.
Really?
I can't stand dealing with GoDaddy. They seriously give me high blood pressure. Like it's those and my ISP, the two companies. Like I can't stand dealing with my internet service provider or GoDaddy. They're like one and the same to me. Said it returns a 301 and 302 both. Yeah, it seems like their PHP is a little screwed up on the server side. Doesn't surprise me at all. Um, I'd I'd bet if you called them and complained you want to get an intelligent person on the phone either. I was doing I was redirecting a site through Cloudflare. I was serving up through Cloudflare, and I was having problems. I forget what the problems were, but he's like, "Well, the problem is you have these foreign DNS in here." I'm like, "Well, it's not. I'm serving it through a content delivery network." And he's like, "We can't do that. I never heard of that." I'm like, "You never heard of Cloudflare?" I'm like, you're in an internet. You know what I mean? You're in the business of websites. You never heard of Cloudflare?" And they insisted that was my problem. And I'm like, well, I've hundreds of sites served through content delivery networks, so I'm gonna go with like you're the problem, not my CDN. I mean, seriously, like I can't stand that when people just don't know what they're talking about and they run through shit to try to get you off the phone quick. I can't stand that. But anyway, we could spend all day bitching about GoDaddy. They're terrible. Excuse my language. I get foul. I start talking about GoDaddy, I get foul. I can't stand dealing with them. Um, Yeah, he said might as well have asked my 6-year-old daughter for help. They're like, oh, we got a lot of engagement on GoDaddy. No one likes GoDaddy on the call. Yeah, they're just terrible. I mean, then again, I don't know. For as big as that company got, I mean, they do a good job of hiding profit. I think they've been showing losses since they started, but that's what big businesses are supposed to do. You don't want to show anyone you're making a lot of money. It's just more you have to pay in taxes. But they do a massive business. Their infrastructure should be better, and they should have better qualified techs to answer technical questions and stuff. But
They're really good at selling, I'll tell you that. They'll upsell, upsell, upsell nonstop.
do you remember their original TV ad?
The one at the Super Bowl that got them famous, or?
Um, I'm not sure if it was the Super Bowl one. Remember
Yeah.
they had like a really like a gorgeous lady, and
Yeah.
she was like, "Hey, come to GoDaddy," and I'm like, "What the hell type of site is this?"
Yeah, this
Uh,
was during the Super Bowl years ago. I remember that. And that's what got them on the map, and they haven't slowed down since, I think.
yeah, and it was so vague. I mean, it was like, honestly, I never went because I'm like GoDaddy. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if I should be going to that site. I was young. You know what I mean? I was younger when that was on. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
And it was like,
you're still younger.
yeah, almost 30, man. I feel it in my bones.
You're killing half of us on this call, man. Almost 30.
Yeah, but I'm not in real good shape anymore, man. I worked too long in an office, and I'm probably really like 50. My health is probably I'm probably in worse health than you. So
I'm starting to look 50, and I'm in the best shape of my life, running around on crutches the last 3 weeks. At least my shoulders are from trying to support my fat ass.
building the arm mass, right?
I swear, dude, my shoulders are looking pretty buff from these crutches. The rest of me looks just terrible. But
Really, really, really great question from Graydon, and we're going to really dive into this coming week. He said, do you guys primarily rely on some type of project manager to deal with delegation of daily tasks, or are you working with the individual worker bees directly? I micromanage to an extent where I'll go through Basecamp and just make sure everything's exactly how I like it. And I spend, I definitely spend probably 5 or 10 hours a week on micromanagement. But yeah, I have project managers, and everyone that I train now, I train not to perform. They perform some menial tasks, but like for instance, I have a new guy in office training right now. He's actually sitting across the office watching training videos that I made, so that's interesting. But they'll actually I teach them some menial stuff so they understand it, but most of my teaching's geared towards them being able to take a project from a bird's eye view and manage it, get it from start to finish for me. So project managers are super, super important, and that includes like ordering the articles, right? Like he orders articles, he gets tracking numbers and the addresses. Just the on-page optimization. Like he knows how to do it, and he's working either himself or directly with workers to get these projects done. And that's kind of how I push for everything right now. I don't have time to articulate the intricacies of some of this stuff to workers, and that's why I'll go through this next week, but I really push people, excuse me, instead of hiring direct overseas, I push people to use managers, people who have VAs and manage them. We have a couple of those guys in our group, and I'll drop their info. I'll drop some info, some people I use personally, but I encourage that because those guys have a huge understanding of the English language as well as the native language of where their workers are, and it makes communication so much easier. If I can explain a task to him, he's going to explain it and I can make him understand it, which is so much easier because he's proficient in the English language. He's going to be able to describe that to the workers better than I ever could. And I don't know the subtle nuances of that language. I don't know, the verbiage. It's just different. It's completely different, actually. Going from English to whatever language they are. I mean, just kind of funny. One of my project managers. This is actually a funny story. A lot of foreign languages, at least if English is your first language, a lot of them their language is very literal, where ours isn't. We have subtleties in our language, just aren't literal. So he was giving them directions on making social accounts for a money site, and he put make the Twitter handle the same thing. Right? That's the instruction he gave. And now if I would say to Brian, hey man, can you make a couple social accounts and make it the brand name, and then I'll put the brand name in, and then oh yeah, make a Twitter account and make that name the same thing. Like if you having understanding English language, you know what I mean. They just they're when that gets processed to them, their language is a lot more literal. So they made our Twitter handle the same thing or something. I don't know. It was something like that, whatever it was. But it was just like we had to have a laugh. But so that's something you kind of avoid when working directly with a manager that's can speak the language, can bridge that gap for you guys better. The biggest thing for me is you just have to, if you do work directly with worker bees, which starting out you're probably going to, because it's just all going to depend on your working capital. Do you have the budget to get a manager? And you can go overseas with your manager as well, which we'll get into that next week. If you want some really great guys to work directly with, Central and Eastern Europe's just on fire. We're working with a development team of 5 from Belarus. I have a project manager in Romania. I mean, those guys, they're it's very easy to conversate with. It seems like they might have a little bit better grasp on the English language than some of my Asian workers. So that's been really great for us. So don't always think, hey, I have to get a $1,000, $2,000 a week project manager in house. And if you're in the States or UK, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. That's not necessarily true. It's pretty easy to go with one of those guys. You can get even oh shit, there's just so many places over in Europe that just has really competitive workers for the fee and just their knowledge. Hungarian workers are just monsters. They're really good. Romania, Belarus. We'll go through how to find them next week too. I have a couple
Another, if you're not at the stage where you're going to hire an in-house person or hire your own project manager, what I would recommend is on a site like Elance, which is kind of going away. I just heard they're going to be rolling into a different site. I forget the name of the
Upwork.
Upwork. That's right. Yeah.
Yep, that's
Good
where I
job.
get them. Yep.
Yeah. So when you bid out for virtual assistants, you're going to get direct people, and then you're going to get agencies. And sometimes the agency can be your project manager. They're the
Yeah.
ones where they'll put in place somebody who really, you can converse with back and forth in your language. They can understand it, and then they can parse it out to their workers and get it translated correctly. So don't think that you necessarily have to have an in-house project manager. You can use some of these agencies as your project manager and just, like anything else, interview that person if you can. Get on Skype. Who are you going to be dealing with? It's in the larger agencies, like in the Philippines, it could vary, right? You could have several project managers. You should try to insist on one or two that you deal with over and over, so you're not starting from scratch explaining things. Um, so yeah, there's a lot to it in terms of managing people. If you manage directly, just have very, very clear instructions and understand that they don't speak the language at the level you do,
Right.
and there are going to be certain things that don't get done correctly. The other thing is that when you hire directly, um, people, let's say in the Philippines, make next to nothing, and a lot of them are working multiple jobs, and they'll tell you they can work 40 hours a week, and you find out that they want to do your work only on weekends because that's when they can squeeze in, 30 or 40 hours because they're working one or two other jobs. So you
Mhm.
really have to interview very, very carefully. I've had a few VAs that I've hired like that,
Yeah.
where nothing was getting done all week, and then suddenly Friday at about 1 a.m. I'm getting messages saying, "What do I do here? How do I do this?" So
Yep.
the time difference is also, a bit of a pain. So dealing with one direct person can make it a lot easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, I push everyone to start with an agency. You're gonna pay more per VA, but I'm telling you it's just gonna be massive. You'll notice a massive difference. But and we'll go through that in greater detail next week. I'll show you guys kind of each path, how to handle yourself each path. Um, Really looking forward to next week. Not looking forward to trying to watch it on ClickFunnels. Oh man, I know, guys. ClickFunnels let us down. I was so disappointed, man. And there's, like I said, there's a lot with ClickFunnels that pissed me off. There's no doubt about it. Like a bunch of our retargeting pixels disappeared out of our funnels. And we ran like $1,000 in ads with no retargeting. That pissed me off.
Well,
But
the one unknown that I'm not sure we'll ever answer this question is because somebody pointed this out that it loads all the pages at once. It sort of does and it doesn't because it tries to load all of the tabs, which I think that's what's slowing some of the process down. But I wonder also if because it feels like it has to load up these Wistia videos and queue them all up so they're all ready if somebody clicks on a tab, that's slowing that site down. So I don't know how much Wistia plays into it versus it's all ClickFunnels. All I know is that the other stuff that I've seen in ClickFunnels are, there's 20 videos or something like that, and we've got over 100 at this point.
hmm,
So we'll work on a fix for that. We've got to move that entire platform over somewhere that can handle this.
yeah, I wasn't dreadfully impressed with optimized press either. Which
No.
we're moving. In case you guys don't know, we actually have been redesigning local client takeover. I know I said this a long time ago. The one contractor we hired actually flaked on us. He took months, didn't deliver any type of wireframe or result, and when I'd asked for a refund, he sent me a screenshot of his bank account with $70 in it. So we had to
Yeah, we got
get,
to work on that one.
yeah, pissed me off. But we had to So we have a new guy. We're going through the mock-ups. It's clean. I mean, I like it. I'm happy with it. But we switched the membership platform into something new for that. So we'll be kind of beta testing it the next couple of days, and if it runs right, we might use that and make a new platform for the final frontier as well. Um, just it's definitely on the list of things we want to get done because the Clickfunnels just couldn't handle what we were doing. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. We are gonna get a solution for that though. Um, like I said, I just want to put my head down and get through the rest of the content I promised you guys, and then we'll get it right. Um, any more questions? I see we have a full house today, man. A lot of people showed up. This is pretty cool. Any questions at all? Week 1, week 2, week 6, 7, doesn't matter. Anything. We are here to answer questions. And take complaints. ClickFunnels is a big complaint. I know I'm just so disappointed in that, But oh well. I guess no one sat down and said, "Hey, let's make sure our infrastructure can support over 100 training videos."
No, well, we didn't. I don't think we had in mind that we were going to drop this much content either. We just, as we planned it out initially, we didn't think there would be this much content, and then we would do planning weeks of content at a time, and we kept thinking, oh yeah, but we should talk about this, and we should talk about this, and
Yeah.
all this shit comes to mind that you don't, And
Yeah.
there's even more in there. Every once in a while, not actually more than every once in a while, we'll chat and we'll think of things that we didn't think of, say in week 3 or 4. Oh yeah, we have a video that we could make about that. So I think this is kind of a growing organism.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that was cool though, because initially we were going to keep everything kind of concise, and then we just were like, well, we want to we don't want to hold anything back. And if there's one thing I always hated, it was like people that are like serial product creators, where they'll create like how to rank sites volume 1, how to rank sites volume 2, and it has a better name. It's usually like world takeover domination, whatever, and it'll be like, $97, and then the next week they have another one, or the next month if there's another one. It's, we wanted to avoid that, with just like taking tidbits of information and charging for it. So we just mind dumped, and there's a lot of videos because of it. Graydon says, "What's the planned schedule for the case study?" It's really tough to give a definitive schedule. We still have leads coming in from a bunch of the stuff we did. It was actually kind of hectic for us because my agency's infrastructure actually handled all of it, and they already have a lot on them. So it was a lot of scrambling, a lot of new hiring and training in the last 2 months just to handle it. I don't want to sit and give a definitive date when it'll be done and then not deliver. But I figure in the next couple weeks I can have something done about it, and that way it'll just take from start to finish. I know a bunch of the training videos inside of the members area talked about this entity we made with the dental business builders and stuff like that. We talked about different ways we were doing the acquisition, but as far as to sit down and say, like, here's what we invested in this, here's how much time we spent in doing this, and so on and so forth, that was that's something I don't want to give a definitive date on until I'm sure I can deliver it. But give me a couple weeks just to kind of, go back through our CRM and just, get everything measured and put together, and I'll get it out to you guys. Brian asked, do you have a Basecamp template you'd be willing to share for onboarding a new client? I've built one out. However, I would like to see what amount of detail you go into mapping the project. Actually, true story, Chad Morgan, he's one of the guys in this group. That guy's a beast, just with organization and, a lot of really neat stuff. He actually shared a template with me, and I I actually took that and just customized it a little bit. So, I'll definitely be happy to share that. And yeah, that would be no problem. But he definitely was the inspiration behind that. So, but yeah, I'll be happy to do that, no problem. We'll drop that next week. All right. Oh, sorry about that. All right, guys. Anything else? I actually have to cut out soon, Brian.
Yeah, you got to hop on that other call. We've
Yeah.
got the local client playbook call today with Colin from Cult of Copy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys want to head over to that one? That one's going to be really good too. That guy's a beast when it comes to copywriting.
Yeah.
Total master.
Yeah, he was a lot of the, he has a really cool course called, it's like how to build a cult, and that's really impressive. Just the ideals behind that, and you can use that for just any industry. I use a lot of the ideals for building LCT. Just I tried to just give tons and tons and tons of value. Brian gave tons and tons of value. We were active in the group. People know us. It was, and it can be extrapolated to any industry. You have to make a hub where your clients hang out. And he goes into doing that, and it's really cool, really impressive stuff. The guy's brilliant, and probably one of his most famous things was that huge debate he had with some other marketer. And the marketer was yelling at him because he said the F word, because he cussed too much, and the guy's, I don't want to call him profane, because I cuss too, but he's very liberal. He's very liberal with his use of profanity. Maybe that's the best way to put it. And he actually he had a big debate with the guy, and you can't really say what he did was wrong. His group has over 13,000 people. People love him. He's just, he lets his personality shine through, where a lot of marketers are like, oh, we have to portray this level of professionalism at all times. And Colin's just like, yeah, F that, F you.
That doesn't sell necessarily. You got to have a persona.
Right.
Exactly.
You
have to create personas out there in the marketplace, what you're all about. Ties into niching yourself, all that stuff. So he's done a good job at that. And, Dan Kennedy's another example of a guy who is really just a persona. I'm sure he's kind of a crotchety old dude anyway, but a lot of that's played up because he wants you to value his time more. And so he's very standoffish, and it's very hard to get a hold of him, and it's all by design. He's admitted it. It's all by design.
Oh yeah, when he was talking about doing doing his events, he's like, I give people as little as possible. Like as far as like feeding them and giving them, drinks and stuff. He's like, we have like water and coffee, and that's it. There's no other nourishment. There's nothing, and he does admit that he's standoffish, and so that's what when we started LCT, we developed personas. We said, what personality do we have? We want to be friendly. We want to be informal, but not like F you, F everything. Not that informal.
We've never been in any groups where they say that.
Right. So. That's like we were like, we want to be friendly, we want to be open and formal, not profane where we're like going nuts or anything. We want to be helpful, we want to be approachable. So it's definitely all about just making that personality, and sticking with it. And, the best thing, I don't know. It's just really cool, man. I suggest everyone check that stuff out because that dude's a beast.
Well, you better hop over there and get that thing set up if that's going to start. Does
Yeah.
anybody have any other questions, or do you
I,
want to throw them
I
in the group?
I have one last one in here. I'll hit. John says, have to ask a question about press releases. Which service do you use more, Press Cable or PR Whirlwind? And are there any better PR services? I'm big on Press Cable. You know, it has really good distribution. The thing that sucks about it is they're supposed to be implementing a writing service again where you can just pay them to write it for you. That's going to make their service a lot better again because that Skyranker software it didn't impress me. Just cut straight to the chase. You're not going to touch Press Cable's distribution for the price, even for the regular price. Like they have incredible distribution. It's just a pain in the ass. You have to make sure you get someone who's good at writing press releases to write it. Matt's big on PR Whirlwind. I mean, it does well for him. I'm actually experimenting with a mass media SEO, and that's like a really, really cheap solution. It's really cheap. It might be like $15 per release. You have to write the release. The guy offered me like a beta test and all this stuff, so I'm messing with that. Let's see how, we've been using that for a little while now. So, in another couple weeks, I'll be able to give a more definitive review on it. But so far, I mean, the syndication sucks, but it's $15, and it still hits like Google News and a bunch of stuff like that. So your press release, believe it or not, it's going to have more to do with the release it's written. People complain about links disappearing, stuff like that. It's because the press release wasn't good. Just to be honest,
Yeah, they've got to be well written. I mean, you can't just churn them out. That's why Press Cable can be a little bit of a pain in getting things accepted, but once you get in the mentality of writing a newsworthy release, which is not always easy, they'll get accepted more. Forget about the Skyranker portion of it. All that is just a template.
Yeah.
Everything else just goes through their Press Cable distribution module, or not module, but so yeah. But
So
there's a million other services you can try too. They just tend to have good distribution once you get a good press release in place that is newsworthy. It's going to go out and it's going to stick, or a lot more than just something that's just there to obviously get a link.
yeah. Bunch of questions just rolled in about writing the press release. How do you make them newsworthy? How do you write a press release when you have nothing to tell? There's always something newsworthy. Maybe I'll run through a quick video on that this weekend. Maybe I'll run through how I do it and stuff. Can you do more harm than good if it's crap? No, not really. It's just the links will disappear. That's it. Like the links will get deleted or it won't get approved. But Brian, I'm actually going to make you presenter. You can take over.
Okay, cool.
And I have to run, guys, so I'll catch you in the group. Thanks a lot, Brian. Sorry. Blame it on Matt's irresponsible scheduling.
Are you able to hand it off to me from here?
Yeah. Okay, Brian. You should have control.
All right, guys. Let me.
Okay. If you go down into the questions box, do you see that?
Let me just close out some of my stuff here. I'm going to show my screen. I don't see anything in the questions box.
Do you see the questions box though?
Not at all, no.
Damn, what happened to the questions box for you? Give me 1 second. Oops. There, you should see the questions box now. You see that?
Let's see. Sorry, guys, we're doing this on the fly here.
Yeah, I should have ran you through this before the call, but I was eating, that's right. I was enjoying my cookies.
Yeah, no, I don't see the question box at all. It's not popping up, unfortunately.
Okay, on the little box. Are you in that little? Do you have access to that little box? The go-to webinar box.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see it's screen sharing, webcam, audio, dashboard, attendees, polls, questions.
Yeah, I do, and then it stops at chat.
Okay, yeah, so that you see the questions though in between polls and handouts?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not there at all. It goes handouts, chat. It goes attendees, handouts, chat.
Huh. Click on view, the file options, view help at the top. See if you click on view and then go select questions.
Yeah, that's not even showing. That's not even giving me an option for questions, so it's not making me a
Okay.
presenter somehow. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's messed up. Okay.
Do you guys want to just type questions into the group and we can get them answered and make sure we get them answered today for you? Just to
Yeah,
make this easier, not waste people's time on me trying to find question boxes.
yeah, maybe that would be best, but all right. Thanks, guys.